So, our second topic is all about the aquatic ecosystems, issues, and problems of water pollution. And according to Thomas Fowler, we never knew the worth of water till the well is dry. And yeah, exactly, we will only know the worth until it's gone. And then we have impacts of water pollution. Contaminated water can harbor bacteria, such as those responsible for diarrhea, cholera, dysentery, typhoid, hepatitis A, and polio. Contaminated water contains unsafe levels of contaminants. It can cause health effects such as gastrointestinal illnesses, nervous system or reproductive effects, and chronic diseases such as cancer. According to the UN, every year approximately 297,000 children under 5 die from diseases linked to poor sanitation, poor hygiene, or unsafe drinking water. Less water affects the environment. Lower water levels can contribute to higher concentrations of natural and human pollutants. Less water going down the drain means more water available in the lakes, rivers, and streams that we use for recreation and wildlife uses to survive. And second, we have depletes aquatic ecosystem and triggers unbridled proliferation of phytoplankton in lakes, eutrophication, contamination of the food chain. An inadequate water supply will result in the reduced ability for soils to support crops, and increased amount of dust due to dryness, erosion, and a greater chance of wildfires due to drier vegetation. And then we have international issues. Groundwater contamination is a serious issue around the US and in Michigan. Septic tanks are impacting inland lakes and groundwaters. Um, all of this will plug recreational waters, causing more beaches and decreasing the value of the lake and river shorelines. All the pollution problems are exacerbated by climate disasters.
Good day everyone, I am Haris Campos. Okay, international issue. When you say international issue, it is informally a global issue that adversely affects the global community and environment, possibly in a catastrophic way. American groundwater has been severely depleted in recent decades with 40% of more than 85,000 while hitting all-time lows in the past decades and rainwater falling to replace the losses, according to an analysis by the New York Times. River water quality issues in Malaysia. Rivers are threatened by both point source and non-point source of pollution. Point source tends to be those directly identified as their origins from human activities. We know exactly where the pollution came from. So the sewage treatment plants, agro-industry, manufacturing, sulfur or grey water from chemical and residential premises, and pig farms are the main point source of pollution. So another example is the sewage water outflow, and it came from a factory. So these are the examples of point source. Non-point source pollution is a water pollution that affects a water body from various secondary sources such as land use changes, and polluted runoff from agricultural areas that drain into a river. So non-point source relatively harder identified and monitor. We cannot tell where the pollution is especially came from. So the example of non-point source is the fertilizer and trash in the landfill. So fertilizer and trash in a landfill is one of the example of non-point pollution. The reason why Indonesia's rivers were polluted, it is because rivers still become waste disposal for the people who do not receive a proper waste management services from the government. Habitually, the people dispose of their waste into the river every day. The organic and inorganic waste ended up in the rivers. Thank you.
So this was the Pasig River. We know that the Pasig River is the one of the most polluted river in the Philippines that suffers from the high level of water population. All we know that this Pasig River, urbanized and industrial, have taken a toll on the water quality of the Pasig River over the years. just because of the solid waste and the water population that have in the Pasig River. The ecosystem and aquatic life in the Pasig River was affected. So, as the assessment shows that the Cagayan River was study stated that contaminated with anomia. The Cagayan River was remarkable high and donates with a high level of nutrients from the wastewater disposed into the river. Anthropogenetic activities are largely contributes to the change of the river water quality. So this was the environmental issues in the Cagayan de Oro. The expansions and development in Cagayan de Oro City have spawned water-related sustainability issues. And these issues include the population, increasing water demands, and depletions of the water ground and land use changes. So according to Judy Marie et al. 2015, the water quality of Cagayan de Oro River Falls is under Class A, except for the total coliform that went way beyond the minimum standard. It may be said that the Cagayan de Oro River sketch is organically polluted.
Water pollution management strategies. So first is rules and standard. The government will enforce laws and regulation to limit pollutant release into water bodies. So ang example ani nga gibuhat sa gobyerno is kaning RA 9275, Clean Water Act. Muna siya ang law that protects and manage the country's water resources. So og daghan pa nga mga law and mga regulation nga create ang gobyerno. Next is waste treatment. So, removing pollutant from wastewater through physical, chemical, or biological process. So, the more efficient the processes, the clearer the water becomes. So, next is public awareness. So, educating the public about responsible water use and pollution prevention. So, example is i-educate ang public about atong i-remind silang balik sigalimot tong proper disposal of your garbage. Although muna siya ang pinakasayon, pero muna ang daghan ng mga tao ang wala nag-apply ani. So, kinahanglan i-remind. And then, next is monitoring. So, regularly testing water quality to identify pollution sources and assess progress. So, importante kaayo na i-check ang turbidity or ang nutrient level sa usa ka water, or daghan pa nga kinahanglan i-check ng ihang DO, ihang pH. Kaya kung sobra naman good kayo ang nutrient level, ang mahitabo is mo decline ang oxygen sa tubig. So kung mo decline ang oxygen sa tubig, daghan ang maapektahan ng mga aquatic life. So mga plant, animals, ang uban is mga matay or mag-result siya og daghan nga motubo nga algal bloom. So kung daghan og algal bloom, so mubo ang oxygen level. And then daghan ang mamatay. So muna siya. And collaboration. So working with communities, industries, and NGOs to address water pollution. So importante kayo nga mag-work ta together. Kay kita man tanan ang hinahanglan og hinlo nga tubig para ato ang gamiton sa ato ang consumption sa atong pang-adlaw-adlaw. Lastly, kinahanglan kinato ni in-note to ensure that there is always an abundance of water that is safe for us to consume and for the future generation. It is important to prevent water pollution and practice water conservation.